Welcome back to Morning Cafe. Time for the lifestyle segment, and today we are all about the fashion industry. Now, we won't be delving much into the fashion aspect of it, but into the business and entrepreneurship aspect of it. And joining me this morning is Ruby Amondi. Good morning, Ruby.
Good morning.
Ruby is the founder of Ruby Styles by Ruby.
Style by Ruby.
Style by Ruby. Yes, of course. And clearly you can tell indeed it's styled by Ruby from how she's dressed. You're looking good this morning.
Thank you.
And straight to it. I think, like I said, we won't be delving much into the aspect of style, but just briefly tell us what Styles by Ruby is all about before we delve deep into the business bit of it.
Style by Ruby is actually African inspired. I try to embrace African fabric in everything I make. Even if it's contemporary, like let's say stretch fabric, I just have to put some African touch in it. So Style by Ruby is actually an African inspired fashion house.
And when you're talking about fashion house, we're talking about dresses only or cuts across?
It was dresses only, actually. But then COVID happened, and I've just said that I'm so talented. I've made so much. So I'm like an interior decorator.
COVID is a blessing.
It's not. It's a blessing
to you because then you learn of other things that you can actually do. That will be helpful.
I've done so many things. Right now, I've gone into homes. I've done like throw pillows. I've done curtains. Which are things which I never used to do before COVID. So, of course, it's a blessing in disguise.
And when you speak about the African touch, what exactly do you mean? Are we talking Ankara? What exactly do we speak of when we're talking? Because you see, fashion is interesting. And when you talk Ankara, there are other people who embrace Ankara across the world. I mean, what exactly is that African style that we're talking about?
Locally made fabric. For instance, what I'm wearing is something that is made in West Africa. Okay, not the dress itself, the prints itself are West African prints. So Ankara is basically kitenge locally. It's kitenge. Kitenge is something African. So that is what I mean by, an African touch.
So when you talk about Style by Ruby, it's more or less like a business. And one would want to ask, you this morning, of course, they're probably interested in these and they would want to set up a business. What does it take someone, to set up a business, say for that?
I'd say we don't really have it in black and white. Everyone has a different journey. For most people, they have to get a collateral from the bank or something. But for those of us who are disadvantaged, because of course I didn't have capital, you have to figure out ways of being creative. Can you believe I started my business without capital?
Whoa, okay.
I'm not trying to be a
Take us through. No. In fact, everyone is watching and people are back at home and they're now trying to imagine, okay, well, I probably have this idea, but I do not have capital. Someone is right here and they started up something which is doing very well.
For me, I'd say it was an accident. It's not like I was planning to become a designer or to have a fashion house. It's something that just happened out of necessity. I'm like, okay, I'm at home, I'm idle. And of course, I'm making all these things and posting on Facebook. And at some point, people told me, I want that outfit. And I'm like, oh, you want it? Send me some deposit. So the deposit was the capital. That was the capital.
That was the capital.
And someone else ordered someone else. Then I started serving before I actually now went full time into it. I didn't have capital. I didn't have plans. It just happened. And along the way, I started saving. So you can start small. Don't wait for the bank to give you all these big loans. Just start small. Even with 1,000 bob, you can start something actually.
Let's speak of the actual procedures. The formal procedures that would be involved. In setting up a business. Here you are. You've started something small, and then it gets to that point whereby you start involving the government and the formal procedures that are supposed to be there. Maybe you can take us through that.
Okay, now that is the most difficult part for most startups. That is why most startups collapse because, I don't want to blame the government or anything, but it's hard. It's hard. The charges are just crazy. We've been complaining about it. It's so crazy. But of course, I practiced for a while, just online before actually setting up, the business officially, like I said. So I don't really want to delve much into that, but I'd say it's something that the government needs to revisit because it's crazy. So many ideas are dying because, the charges are just so exorbitant. Yes.
So online is much fairer in comparison to, setting up something that would require you to have a physical shop and something of the sort.
Online doesn't mean you don't pay your tax.
Oh, now that is the thing. That is what we want to understand. Yes, people need to understand that.
So online doesn't mean a thing because eventually you have to get out of, the internet. You have to practice.
Yeah.
I don't make it in the air.
Yeah.
I have to have a shop where I actually make the outfits. I don't just do them in the air or something. And of course, I'm trying to avoid meeting my clientele. They know that. Like
Yeah.
if there's an option of you just paying on delivery, I'd prefer that. Because you know the world is digital. I'm also trying to keep
to
up.
digitize the entire
Yeah,
thing.
because let's say I want to sell my fabric in the US
Yeah.
and I'm here in Nairobi. It can only be online. Yeah.
So in
that
this
is-
case, then, if it is about fittings and making a clothes for someone, they send the fittings.
yes,
At what point then does it become accurate? In most cases, don't you go wrong?
you go wrong when you're starting.
Okay.
You always go wrong when you're starting. But for someone like me who has been in the industry, I can just look at you and give you a fitting outfit.
Oh, yeah?
Once I see you, yes. My clients know that. I tell them to send photos. And they're
Nice.
like, okay, how will you know? Send me your photo.
Okay.
Yeah, so with time you perfect your art. Yeah, if I see your photo, I can actually be more accurate than if you send me your own measurements. Yes.
All right. So what is this rookie mistake that you ever did while you were starting up?
Oh my God, there's so many. We do make mistakes. As a designer, I'd say the mistake was not being honest with myself.
Yeah.
You know, when someone sent you some Kim Kardashian dress that she wore at the Oscar and she
And
wanted
you were
an
like,
exact-
yes, I'm going to hack this.
Very few of us actually admit that. Okay, to be honest, because you still want people to hold you on at a pedestal.
Yeah.
We rarely admit that I can't do that. We just have to push, and then we come up with something ridiculous. But I've been lucky because I've not ended up on social media with this is what I ordered and this is what they delivered. You see those kind of posts.
Yeah.
But I've made that mistake. But eventually along the way you have to be honest with yourself and tell them, you know what, I don't think I'll hack that. So that is the mistake number one that as a designer you need to avoid. Be honest. It's better to say no than embarrass yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. If it's not your design and you can't hack it, don't take it.
All right. How many years are you into this?
That is a very tricky question that I always don't know how to answer because
Wow.
as far as I remember, I've always been coming up with these designs in my mind. From school, I've been,
Okay.
an artist and all that. But now I'd say, like, now getting money from it, I'd say, let me say 5 or something.
5 years.
Yes.
All right. And speaking of which, then, when we're talking about the mistakes and all that, the first times when you realize that money is coming, someone is checking up on you at Facebook and they're like, oh, I want that dress. And you're like, okay, I'm going to hack it. I mean, at that particular time, you have to strike a balance on how you're going to be genuine with yourself, in regards to what you're telling us, and also just overlooking that cash. So you're looking, this is cash staring at you, and you also know very well that you probably are not able to hack this. How do you strike that balance?
When I was starting, let me say, saying I won't hack it is saying my tailor won't hack it.
Okay.
I wasn't a designer from scratch. Like I had to start learning on the job.
All right.
I studied other things, which of course I won't mention here because today we're talking about other things.
Yeah.
I wasn't a designer. I had to get people on board. You have to hire people. So saying I couldn't hack it means my staff won't hack it.
Yeah.
Even right now, of course, I have employees. When I say I couldn't hack it, it means nobody in my team can hack it.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the point. So as a designer, know your limits. I know my strength is African print.
Yeah.
I won't stretch myself making things which I'm sure we cannot hack. That is not our strength. Yes.
All right. And how does it, what does it take for someone to decide that this is the kind of business I'm going to do? Because like you said, sometimes it just started by default. But equally, everyone is now taking that direction of business. Everyone is
Yes.
thinking business, So first you start thinking of what you love doing.
Yeah.
Somebody else tells you, no, you have enough capital. Maybe you can start up something different from what you love and everything. How do you get to balance and sit and decide that, you know what, this is the direction that I'm going to take and this is probably what is going to give me money?
By that actually knowing your call, people have different, ways of
Yeah.
knowing what their calls are. But for me, I'd advise you, number one, you must love what you're doing.
Yeah.
I have so many people who saw me trending. At some point I was getting all these TV interviews. I was becoming famous. I'm on Miss Kenya, I'm on what. And then they decided that they're going to post outfits. And they were posting outfits like I did. And it didn't take long before they collapsed.
Yeah.
Because they're doing it because Ruby is doing it.
Yeah.
I want to be famous like Ruby. You can't do something because I'm doing it. Do it because you love it and you'll push it. Because at those days when you're broke, what happens when you're broke?
Yeah.
Will you quit? I can't quit because I love this. Even when I'm not selling, I want to wear these outfits.
Right.
I love looking at the prints. I love doing all these things. So number one, if you don't love it, please leave that business alone.
Right.
That is why startups collapse. You're not patient because it's not your passion. Yeah. Number two, knowing your call. Just ask yourself one question. If it won't make money for a week or a month, what will you feel about it? Will you still look at it the same way, or would you rather try something else that you think is more profitable?
Right.
If you can be this for better for worse, like a marriage, then please go for it. It's a marriage. It's for better for worse. You can't quit because times are hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Let's come to the marketing aspect. Now that you are into the business of selling stuff out there to the people and all that, how do you market your stuff? Yes, there's the online aspect of it, but how else do you reach out to the people? How else do you ensure that your commodity, like you've said, is seen by someone in the United States and they will literally call you or contact you to get that very same commodity or something similar?
You have to give your all.
Yeah.
You have to give your all. Right now, of course, I'm on TV. I've done a few TV interviews. I've done a few fashion shows. Okay, this is just for fashion. We have fashion shows. We have all these, what do we call it? Pop-up shops that we do. You have these exposés. Do whatever it takes to get visibility. Do whatever it takes to get
Why
visibility.
is it that some people overlook the importance of advertising? There's someone who would tell you, anyway, whether I advertise or not, my commodity will sell. I mean, does it make sense business-wise? Because there are also brands that are well known. You know very well that you're going to match and you're going to take into the shop and take this soda. It's obvious, but you still see these big brands advertising.
Imagine, even like DSTV advertises DSTV on DSTV.
Yes, interestingly.
Yes. So I market style by Ruby or style by Ruby. The point is, everyone is going digital. Everyone has a phone. You have a phone. Like most of us have phones.
Yeah.
Someone will be scrolling through their phone and they see a product. I'm in my shop waiting for someone to stroll through town and see my product.
Yeah.
Who is going to make money? I don't even understand. It's just common sense. Put the product on people's faces. Put it everywhere. Let people see your product all over. I'm a walking billboard. Sorry to say, I'm not trying to brag, by the way, but I'm just a walking billboard. Make sure people see your product wherever they walk, wherever they're online, on TV, on what. Make sure your product is all over people's faces, because that's why we call TOS or Ariel Omo. All those products are Omo because Omo was all over our faces.
Right.
It's hard to get it off our minds. That is how advertisement works. The more you see it, the more you can connect. You relate everything you see to it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interestingly, I know Ruby, and we probably have not met for very many occasions or many times. But the moment someone mentions Ruby, I will know that Ruby is Ruby, because I have met many other, fashion designers, but probably not all of them have stuck into my mind, interestingly, because Ruby will always have her prints on. And interestingly, there are beautiful prints, one that would get you thinking, I actually want a dress like that. I don't know whether it works well with everybody or it's just her because she knows how to play around with it. But anyway, I agree. Sometimes you actually have to be the model of your very own products. And speaking of which, I'd want to know, how well is the fashion industry faring in Kenya, and also that aspect of buy Kenya and sell Kenya, and build Kenya,
during COVID or normally?
Normally, and well, of course, and also during COVID.
Of course, the fashion industry is extremely competitive. It's extremely competitive because anyone can wake up and decide that they're a designer. I'm not saying that I studied fashion design in school, but of course I'm a designer. It's taken so much work. But we've reached that point where everybody will wake up and the designer, they'll go get their photos from God knows where, and they post on Facebook, and they'll get a tailor, So of course I'd say it's competitive because people are just, anyone is trying anything. Everyone is trying everything, and getting photos from the internet is actually free. If you don't put your logo, someone will take my photo and post. It's extremely competitive. So that is why it's important for you to create your niche. The more people know about me, the more it will be easier for them to trust me than to trust someone who came online today and posted some random photos. You have to push your brand as much as you can. So
there's so much competition also in the market, and the online market now that you speak of it. How does someone juggle around to stay afloat? So at least someone can overlook this brand and look at your brand, like you say.
The few clients you get when you're starting, you have to try your best to retain them.
Okay.
Because someone will tell someone, will tell someone, will tell someone. And of course, right now, people are very skeptic, especially on online businesses. You pay, you get, scammed. Someone blocks you after receiving your payment and all that. So people are looking for people who are more, established. That is why it's easier for someone to trust me than someone who got into the market today. That Ruby has been around for a while.
Yeah.
I think she's legit. Otherwise, people would have, I've made her trend somewhere.
Wouldn't you say that that's unfair? Business-wise, it's unfair for the startups because everyone has to start from somewhere at some point.
I don't know at what point when life was fair. Has there been a point where?
Oh, okay. Well, that's an interesting way to view it right there. So it has to be unfair.
I went through that when I was starting.
Yeah.
They have to go through that when they are starting. We all go through that when we are starting. You tell someone to send a deposit and they're like, how will I trust you? People in Nairobi, sana. I went through that. You have to go through that to learn. And to learn how to convince clients. You have to learn how to market yourself. Yes.
Moving on, you again do not sit pretty and say that, okay, well, the challenges were there when I was starting up, and now I'm here, I've built my name, I've built my brand, people know me out here, so no more challenges. Is it so?
No.
What are some of these challenges that again you face, when you're trying to stay afloat also as a business person and generally, in the fashion industry?
I'm trying my best not to give people my tips and give a competitive edge. But the point is, I didn't go to a fashion school.
Okay.
And how many people graduate every day from fashion schools, from Milan, or people with business degrees? And I didn't study business, by the way. I studied something else.
Yeah.
So it's important to know what your weakness is. Because about my weakness is I didn't study business. I have to get people on board who studied business.
Now that's another interesting way.
Get expertise that you don't have.
Okay.
The fact that you're posting clothes on Facebook doesn't mean you're an expert. Get experts to help you run your business because you cannot be everything.
Okay.
Yes, that is something that we actually overlook. You cannot have a one-man show and you think you'll succeed. Your strength is what you should focus on. For instance, I know my strength is managing all these things that are happening. But of course, behind the scenes, people have no idea how much work I put out, how many people are actually,
behind this.
Yes, you have to get expertise from accountants, to lawyers to help you file all those things. Yeah, so that is something that most designers don't really do. They just post, get into scandals, yeah.
Now that you speak of not dishing out your tips to people just anyhow, at what point do you dish them out? And if you do, is it at a fee? The tips?
No, I'm such a nice human. I do dish out my tips. It's just that
okay, no, well,
I
okay.
don't charge people
I think this is business-wise.
I only
also
charge people for clothes.
Okay, and that's just it. And one then would want to ask, what are the dangers of, dishing out your tips out there? What are the dangers business-wise? Because, sometimes not everyone is your friend, and sometimes you are in that competitive setup and space while you are competing with the rest. Is it important to just, and tell everyone that this is it, this is how I go about my business? Or sometimes it's good to just hold some of these tips to yourself.
Let me give you some 5-second story. It's actually just 5 seconds.
5 seconds? Okay, well.
I'll try my best. Actually,
no, make it even a minute.
I rap when I speak.
Make it a minute.
I lent someone my outfits for a shoot, which was okay with me because as long as you're going to do a free shoot and give me the photos, I'll be so excited. You've actually saved me, so I lent my outfits. And then later on, I watched on TV, the person was showcasing my designs as theirs.
Oops.
Yeah, that took 5 seconds, right?
Yeah, that took 5 seconds, and I'm eagerly waiting to hear. Then what? You just decided to let it go like that?
The point is, you need to know when to speak and when not to speak. Like I might be talking to you and I'm actually, giving you tips. I've attended such interviews, and the interviewer was actually a designer, and I was like, okay, why does it look like I'm giving you tips? This is not an interview. Yeah, it's okay to give tips. It's okay to give tips because you can steal my idea, but you cannot steal my concept. Yeah, that is the truth. Please don't worry about who is stealing your photo on Facebook, who is stealing what. I can tell you for free that designer is not a designer. That designer who showcased my design is not a designer because you don't have that concept. You don't have that kind of knowledge. You can only steal my clothes. You can't steal my creativity. Don't worry about those kind of people. That is what I tell people.
But even as you fail to worry, or even as you say that you should not worry, I mean, there's need to protect your brand. So how do you protect your brand? How do you ensure that, you know, people respect your brand for what they are? That if I walk out there, I'll say this is styled by Ruby, and I'll be confident, and not any other person will come posing like that. And even if they do, well, you know, just blast them and tell them, you know what, this is something that is more of a copy paste from this brand that we all can resonate and we know very well. Because I will tell you for free, even with what I do, you're always told, you know, copyright your work. Ensure that you protect your work, which is very, very important. So how do you ensure that that happens, business-wise in general, and also in matters fashion?
Oh, of course, like you say, you try and copyright your work. Try and patent everything that you do. I do it from just simple photos to videos and all that. But not this a disclaimer I want. You know, I don't want us to ignore this fact that even me as a designer, people send me photos. Can you do this outfit? And I can clearly see someone's logo. Okay. And it's someone I know.
All right.
Actually, because the person is charging maybe, let me say 10 Gs, and they know Ruby will charge less. Yeah. And of course, there's someone who will charge less than I do. Yeah. They'll go to that kind of person. There's a fundi in the estate who will charge. I know someone who can do this at this amount. There is nothing you can do to control that. The point is, what is your target clientele? Yeah. Your target clientele will pay for your services. Your non-target clientele will go for something cheaper, and cheap is expensive. Don't dwell on it. Yeah. Just focus on your target clientele. Avoid all these price wars that people are going lower. I was selling my masks at 200. Yeah. I posted on Facebook, and people are like, "These things are 30 bob. Go and buy the 30 bob ones. I have not stopped you. Yeah. No problem. I know what I'm doing. I know my standards. Do not have these price wars. Don't bother about who is copying what. Know your target clientele and stick to them. Yeah, that's
and knowing that and setting the prices, how do you balance this? Because again, I mean, in as much as you know that this is my target clientele and you're setting the bar, you also need to study the market. So how do you get to study the market and now set and focus and you know, settle on a certain clientele and set the prices according to them, and be rest assured that again you're going to make profits?
Well, like I said, I don't engage in all these market wars, because I can post something today. I was doing hair bonnets at 700, and people saw me making a kill out of it, and they did hair bonnets at 300 shillings. Okay. Which means if they were actually doing it at 300, they were maybe making 20 shillings. I don't know how much they were making on you know, from all that. And please, I will not compete with those kind of people. I just set my standards. I know my production costs. You know, I know my what do we call it? I know my standards. Yeah. I charge according to my standards. Those who want quality will pay for it. They will pay for it. No complaints, no nothing. Yeah. Yes.
As you view and you look around, do you suppose the fashion industry has hugely impacted in the country's economy?
We still have this war against Mtumba. Okay. I was really bashed.
Yeah, the battle is real.
I was really bashed for commenting about that, because at some point, I asked people, why must you buy clothes that have been worn by someone else? And people came from my throat. But it's not because I'm jealous of Mtumba or anything. I don't know why it's so hard for people who are selling, you know, in retail or wholesale, whichever it is. Yeah. Why is it so hard for them to buy from us? I know our pricing is quite...
It's a little bit expensive, true.
Because also of the demand. Okay. If you buy in hundreds or thousands, of course I'm going to lower my price because of the production and all that. All those
we're grappling with survival, Ruby. We are grappling with survival. How do you just convince me that I'm going to get a top from you, which is beautiful, and I agree and I acknowledge that it's pretty much beautiful. And you know, there's one that you can get at an affordable rate. What can we do genuinely to ensure that we impact this into the people's mind, that it is important that we buy our own and localize our own and ensure that indeed we make the best of this market?
We've pushed policies. Yeah. I was part of the team, of course, that made you guys wear kitenge on Friday.
Oh yeah. That's amazing. Charged. Congratulations. That one is
pushing. That was you nice. Have no idea. Of course, when I was growing up, people wore kitenge for weddings. But now there's people walking around in kitenges. We are pushing, we are doing our best, and trust me, things are changing.
Oh yeah, we are. But we borrowed that. We just did that for a while, and then boom, people started forgetting that again. And it was a rule that we're supposed to wear kitenges even in the office every Friday.
People are home. Why do you want them to wear this?
No. Even before COVID, like this was the rule. And I remember the first times, you know, in my office where I was, we would do kitenge every Friday. It was so much fun. But then boom, somewhere in between we started losing
relaxing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so excited you've told me. Now I'm going to snitch.
Please, you better.
I'm going to snitch.
You better. Anyway, all the same, that aside, at what point then does one consider themselves a successful business person?
That is the trickiest or the worst thing you can do to yourself. Because that is why, oh my God, I don't want to name names. It's called Mungu nifunze kunyamaza.
Hapana, hapa ujifunze kunyamaza. Ukikuja TV, you should be willing to place it on table and let's see.
I know so many established designers that I grew up looking up to, and I was saying I want to be like so and so, and trust me, they have closed business during COVID. It can happen to anyone. It's very unfortunate. Yeah, but one thing I tell myself, never say you have reached. Never say, I don't know what reaching or arriving is. Never say never. Like, you can never be perfect.
Yeah.
People are graduating every day with fashion degrees, and you're there thinking you can be comfortable.
No.
People are upping their game. You need to be on toes.
Yeah.
That is something I say, you can never be established.
Right.
I am not established. I'm still hustling. I'm learning new skills. And whoever is getting in the industry tomorrow will never catch me, because I'm also, working on myself. Yes.
All right, amazing. Thank you so much, Ruby Amondi, founder Style by Ruby.
Right. Hello.
Style, I know, right? But you need to do some more work, so at least we have this brand sticking on our heads. Yeah.
Okay.
Looks like you have a long way to go, but all the same.
Really? Okay.
But you've just said it that there's no point where you get comfortable.
Of course.
Thank you, and I get it right. Style by Ruby. It was great having you this morning.
Thank you.
We've picked picks, and I'm sure that you have been, well endowed on Matters Business, and most importantly, Matters Style. We'll be having more of this conversation right here on Morning Cafe, so you can trust us to, update you, inform you, and also enlighten you some more. It was great having you right from the start up until now. Thank you so much for your time. We hope that you keep it at TV47, because we have so much also in store coming in your way. My name is Linda Alela. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing. I get to see you again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.